creative friends, it's Gwen. Do you wish you had more time to create? I haven't figured out how to build a time machine just yet, but I have found a way to scrapbook faster. Today I have 9 ideas for busy creatives who want to scrapbook faster without the help of a time machine. There's lots to cover, so let's jump right on in. I have some super quick and simple ideas to get to, but before I get to those, I want to address the big problem. Sure, the quick tips that I share today will help, but they are not the best way to scrapbook faster. The best way is to address the biggest problem that you have. And to do that, you need to really understand your current scrapbooking process. The first thing you'll need to do is document your process in full. So the next time you create a scrapbook page, make note of all the steps you take to do that and how long each one takes. Start at the very beginning with what inspires you, and you'll need to note down the process step by step. Document each step until the layout is complete. It's important to include every single step and to assign a time to each step. This information is going to prove super useful as we go through this process. What you'll want to do here is seek out areas that stand out. Do you notice that it takes you very little time to choose photos, but a long time to choose coordinating supplies? You're looking for the areas in your process that take up the most time. When you know what slows you down, you'll be able to focus on ways to make those steps faster. Right now, you might be thinking, oh, I am just slow at everything, when in fact, it might only be 1 or 2 steps that are really slowing you down. Once you've identified the areas where you get stuck, you'll know exactly what to work on. Of course, solutions will vary from scrapper to scrapper, depending on where you're getting stuck, but I do have 2 ideas that I think will help almost everyone. First up, I would suggest making predetermined decisions. If you struggle choosing photos, you could predetermine that every layout you make this month will be using a 6x4 photo. You no longer need to decide that part of your process. That decision has already been made. In my experience, layouts take time to build when indecision sets in. So if you can predetermine as many decisions as possible, your layouts will come together faster. You can also predetermine the supplies that you'll be using, and kit clubs are great for this. You can decide in advance that every page you make this month will come from a particular kit. Another way to speed up your process is to batch steps. If you know that it takes you quite some time to print photos, then I would recommend batch printing. Set a time, sit down and print out a bunch of photos. I do this with cut files as well. I set a time, I set up my machine and I cut out a bunch of them. This not only saves time because I'm setting up my machine just the once, but these cut files then become predetermined decisions for the layouts that I'll be making. You see, I have already decided in advance what cut files I'm going to use. Oh yes, and if you are looking for unique digital cut files, there's a link in the description box below. So I'm curious, how long does it take you to create a layout? I actually didn't know the answer to this until I had walked through this process. I'd love to know how long it takes you. Let me know in the comments below. So now that I've addressed the big problem, I do want to share with you some simple tips and tricks that will also help. If you did do the work of documenting your process, you'll know exactly which ones of these are going to help the most. Tip number 1 is have fewer supplies. I know, I am always banging on about this and I couldn't not make it tip number 1. It has seriously been a game changer for me. Even on its most basic level, I'm sure we can agree that flipping through 100 cardstock options is much slower than sorting through 10. I promise you need less than you think, not to mention the time you are spending managing and organizing your supplies. That's time that you could be spending actually creating. Tip number 2 is to store your supplies in the same way that you create. For me, I scrapbook by collection, so it makes sense that all of my supplies are stored in collections. Once I determine what collection I want to use, I can quickly grab everything that is part of that collection. I find scrapbooking like this saves me a lot of time because the amazing creatives at American Crafts or Pink Fresh Studio have already curated a selection of papers, patterns, and colors that I can use. All of those decisions have been predetermined for me. I don't need to spend my time trying to coordinate prints and patterns. If, for example, you prefer to scrapbook by theme, then store your supplies in theme. That makes more sense for you. Simply match your supplies to the way that you scrapbook. And if you'd like even more information on this, I did make a video. I will leave a link here and in the description box below. Tip number 3, start with a sketch. Sketches are a fabulous way to pull a page together, especially if you're one of those creatives that struggles with layout design. If that's an area that you highlighted in your process as a time zapper, then sketches are for you. Even if you find designing layouts fun, fast, and easy, sketches will make it even faster because guess what? They are predetermined decisions. You don't need to decide where to place your title, photo, or embellishments. Here's where batching could also come in. Set a timer, jump online and download a bunch of interesting sketches. There's heaps on the web for free. And then you have lots to work with in the coming month. Can you see how everything fits in together here? Predetermined decisions and batching. Tip number 4 is a super quick one and it's about glue. As you are working on your layout, be sure not to glue down every piece as you go. You'll also want to only add glue to the center parts of your elements. This way you can quickly rearrange items or slide pieces into your clusters quickly and easily. I find it much faster to place several elements at once and then go back and apply glue. This also gives me some flexibility in case I change my mind. Tip number 5 is to set a timer. Setting a timer helps you to focus on one task and not let your attention dwindle. It will gently push you to work faster and help you stay focused on the task. It helps you avoid perfectionism, which I will talk a little bit more about in a moment. And it can also make things a little bit fun. You can set yourself challenges. Can I create a layout in just 1 hour? Side note, the timer does not need to be one of those boring kitchen ones. There are a bunch of timers here on YouTube that are set to beautiful piano music. This one idea has helped me so much, and not just for scrapbooking. Tip number 6 is to keep it simple. If you are short on time, keep pages and techniques simple. Now is not the time to try something new or to go all in on a super complicated technique. Maybe if you're looking to scrapbook faster, it's not a good time to invest 5 hours into hand stitching on your layout. If you're really short on time, you could also avoid mixed media because there's a lot of drawing time involved. Keep your layout design simple and simplify the elements that you're adding to your page. For example, if you don't have time to cut out an intricate cut file, add in some fussy cutting instead. If you're looking for ways to improve your fussy cutting and to make it faster, I've made a video on that. I'll be sure to link it below. If you keep things simple, you'll be rewarded with a clean design that really shows off your photo and a lovely warm feeling as you get your page done in no time. Tip number 7 is to scraplift yourself. You've already done the hard work of creating the first layout. Why not copy those choices and create a second? You'll be surprised at just how different they look, even if you simply switch out supplies. Say you keep the design for the page exactly the same and just change out the elements that you're using, it will look like a completely different page. And guess what? It doesn't take any time at all because you're working with a bunch of predetermined decisions. You already know what works and you're replicating that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you make a layout. And a funny thing, quite often I actually prefer the second layout that I've made. Tip number 8 is a mindset tip, and it's a biggie. This might sound weird, but I need you to know that you are not behind. All of the time I hear, oh, I'm so far behind. I haven't scrapbooked last Christmas photos yet. I'm so far behind. I'm here to tell you that you are not behind, you are just on time. You are exactly where you are meant to be along this journey. What is behind anyway? And where is the rule that says you need to have last Christmas photos documented by this Christmas? There are no scrapbook police, and this is not a rule. This is not a rule, my creative friend. You also don't need to document every single photo that you take. You can pick your favorites. I'm willing to bet that you are doing the best with the time resources that you have. I'm also wondering who else in your family is documenting these family memories. I know for me, it's no one. I am the only memory keeper in my family. So every page that I make counts. I think you'll find too that if you don't have that pressure of having to document every photo and pushing yourself on these unnecessary time frames, that your layouts will actually come together more quickly. And there's no doubt that you'll enjoy the process so much more. Tip number 9 is to know that every page is not a masterpiece. Your goal is not to make perfect pages. Ditch the perfectionism and make a good page, not a perfect page. Remember that the pages you see on Pinterest are not regular scrapbookers pages. They are professional scrapbookers pages used to promote products. Every page you make does not need to be a masterpiece. In fact, none of them need to be perfect at all. I talked about this more in my video 5 common scrapbook mistakes. It's been super helpful to so many. Want to know what the other 4 scrapbooking mistakes are? Be sure to check out this video right here. Thanks for being here, my creative friends, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, bye!